They say love heals, but they never warned me it would come dressed in cruelty, wrapped in silk and silence. The first time I met him, he threw a crystal glass at the wall just inches from my head, and I still thanked him for hiring me. I was desperate. Not the kind of desperate you show on your face, but the kind you feel in your bones when your mom is in a hospital bed with no insurance and you're drowning in debt from nursing school. That's how I ended up on the marble steps of the Langston Estate, a Gothic mansion in the hills of Northern California, surrounded by redwoods and rumors. I was there to care for Julian Langston, the paralyzed heir to a billion-dollar empire, infamous for firing over a dozen caregivers in just 3 months. And now it was my turn. The door opened, and a man in black led me through echoing hallways to the sunroom where Julian waited. He was beautiful, painfully so. Raven black hair tousled like he hadn't slept in days, cheekbones sharp enough to wound, and lips curled in permanent disdain. He sat in a sleek black wheelchair, a blanket draped over his legs, eyes cold and glassy. "You're late," he said without looking at me. "I'm 15 minutes early," I replied. "Big mistake." He turned. His stare felt like drowning in ice water. "You're fired." That was day one. But I didn't leave. I needed the paycheck too much, so I stayed. I cleaned the wound on his shoulder when he fell trying to prove he didn't need help. I spoon-fed him soup he wouldn't taste. I held the basin when he vomited from the new medication. I learned which classical pieces soothed his pain and which memories haunted him into silence. First, he ignored me. Then he insulted me. Then he started asking questions. "Why are you still here?" he asked one evening while I adjusted the pillows behind his back. "Because someone has to be. No one ever stayed for me, not even when I could walk." I didn't answer. I just looked at him, really looked, and saw a boy trapped in a man's broken body. Not cruel, just abandoned. Over weeks, the sharp edges dulled. He started waiting for me by the window. He asked for books I liked, let me push him outside into the garden, even tried holding a paintbrush again with trembling fingers. But just as I let my guard down, the past came storming in. One night, he had a panic attack, full-body tremors, sobbing, rage. I held him, whispered that it was okay, that I wasn't leaving. When he calmed, he clung to me like a child, forehead against my chest. That was the first time he kissed me. It wasn't soft. It was hungry, desperate, like he needed to be reminded he was still human. And I kissed him back. But the next morning, he was colder than ever. "This was a mistake," he said, staring out the window. "You're a paid nurse, not my lover." My heart cracked. "Is that all I am to you?" He didn't answer. I wanted to leave. I should have. But when I turned to go, he whispered, "Please, don't." So I stayed. But I built walls again. I kept it professional. I stopped brushing his hand when I passed his chair. Stopped lingering when I fed him. And I stopped looking at him the way I had, like I saw his soul, not his broken body. It hurt him. I saw it. He tried to provoke me, more tantrums, more silence. But I wouldn't give him the intimacy he threw away. Then came the storm. Julian's father returned from his business trip, a man made of steel and shame. He found us in the library, laughing over a graphic novel I brought. He saw the way Julian looked at me and he exploded. "I knew hiring a male nurse was a mistake. What have you done to my son?" He fired me on the spot. But Julian stood. He rose from his wheelchair, legs shaking, face contorted in pain, but he stood. "He's the reason I'm healing," he said. "You're the reason I've stayed broken." His father froze, and in that stunned silence, Julian collapsed into my arms. I didn't leave that night. I stayed, curled beside him in the hospital wing of the mansion. I held his hand through the spasms, stroked his hair through the nightmares. And in the quiet of 4 a.m., he whispered, "You make me want to live again." That was the moment everything changed. He started physical therapy, real therapy. He let go of the ghosts that haunted his spine, the guilt from the accident that paralyzed him, the shame of needing love. I stayed by his side through all of it. We went slow, from awkward breakfasts to shared books, to laughing under the sun in the garden we once avoided. One afternoon, as we watched the light filter through the stained glass windows of the study, he turned to me and asked, "What would you do if I could walk again?" I smirked. "Make you chase me." He laughed, that rare, rich laugh that made the air warmer. Weeks turned into months, and one day he did walk again. Slowly, carefully, but on his own. At the hospital, his mother cried. His father didn't say a word. But Julian turned to me and said, "I don't care if I fall again, as long as you're the one who catches me." We moved out of the mansion, into a small place in the city. He paints now. I work days at the clinic and nights helping him run art therapy for patients recovering from trauma. Some days are still hard. Some nights he still wakes up reaching for breath. But every morning, we wake up in each other's arms, two men who once believed love wasn't meant for people like us. And now we know better. We were never broken, just waiting to be held. And finally, we are. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.